The Manehattan Universe created by Little Jackie Papercut. Mother Shows Best. Story by Skyheart. Act 1. Mommy Furious. Come on! In the recesses of her personal trailer, the azure Stromare's horn glowed and faded as he panted in front of her vanity mirror. Furrowing her brow and squinting her eyes, she sunk deep into her magic and attempted to spell again. Several luminescent ribbons of light slowly emerged from the tip of her horn, wrapped their way slowly down the withers of her body like silk bandages, and continued to condense along her back. A bead of sweat ran down her cheek as her magical font strained, but a gritted, toothy grin started to creep up as he looked upon the transparent and colorful shape starting to form. Yes, that's it. A little more. Just a little more. Just a little... Trixie? Hopping back on one leg in a mortified state, as he'd been caught not utterly divulging in a very guilty presser, her spell shattered into a million particles of multicolored droplets, before the librarian and her assistant opened the door. Cutting herself as much as possible, Trixie drained the flesh from her cheeks and matched it on her trademark hat and cape that were hanging from her rack. Have you heard of knocking the Twilight? We did! 3 times! Spiked deadband. Twilight closed the distance between them. Was that the butterfly wing spell I used on you back there? Trixie scratched her foreleg, a telltale sign of slightly defensive position. Well, what if it was? Spike couldn't help but give a little chuckle at her expense. You really miss those wings, don't you? No! Trixie took a moment to realize that she even believed that remark. Okay, yes, but that's not the only reason. But it is the biggest, Spike playfully teased. An undignified, scratchy frown said it all. No comment. The great and powerful Trixie, magnificent as he is always looking to expand on her artistry, and you all saw how everypony and Cloudsdale loved her fanciful wings. Until they burnt up. A heavy nudge for Twilight told Spike that this was his first warning. So, she thought maybe she could add it to her list of awe-inspiring and jaw-dropping performances! At ground level, of course. No higher than 20 hoes. You see what Trixie's saying? Twilight cocked an eyebrow, then gave a friendly smile. Well, I suppose that would be a pretty flashy spell to use on stage, but using it even once took a significant drain on my magic. How long have you been trying to replicate it? Trixie shuffled a hoof on the floorboards. Since we got back from Cloudsdale. What? That was 6 weeks ago! Twilight slowly circled around her friend. Is that why you've asked me for research on increasing the depth of your magical font? Trixie nodded. Not that great and powerful Trixie needs more magical, but you are the element of magic, so perhaps you could be the only unicorn enough that maybe give Trixie a little help. Twilight smirked. If you say please. She answered with her head held high. Trixie rolled her eyes as Twilight broke down in a giggle. Seriously, though, she continued, I'm afraid the easiest way to increase your reserves is to simply keep practicing your spells. There may be some lifestyle or dietary factors to consider too, but all in all, it's basically just a long routine of daily spell casting. And even then, some unicorns just grow faster than others. I'm sorry to say, but it may be a few more months of practicing that spell before you can build up enough magic to make those wings, Trixie. Wonderful, Trixie groused. Only you, Twilight Sparkle, would think hours of spell practice would be fun. Well, if you really wanted to try some costlier spells, there might be a faster way of doing it, Twilight said with an offering huff. Her number one assistant rated in faint horror. No! Twilight, of all ponies, taking shortcuts? It's not a shortcut as opposed to be a different direction, Spike. Twilight amusedly lectured. Trixie, are you familiar with the concept of setting a casting grid? It's an arcana spell class technique frequently used by the unicorn tribes during the pre-classical era. Back then, the unicorns were the ones that raised the sun and moon, so they needed to pull large amounts of magic all at once, periodically. A casting grid creates a temporary link between multiple unicorns, creating a focal point for their energies. A grid could be structured several ways. Each pony could be cast onto the point, stretching the effect of a singular spell, or laying conduits that could be centralized over a smaller portion of casters, increasing their parameters by at least n-fold to the number of spellcasters on the grid. Twilight realized he was going to have to tone it down a grade, when all she received was a blank stare from both of them. Basically, you create a magic circle that allows you to access my magic as well as yours. Oh! The two lecture students caroused in dawning realization. Spike then rubbed a finger under his chin for a moment. Doesn't that seem like cheating? Twilight shook her head. It's not cheating! It's a spell technique that allows a unicorn to cast a spell using the power of other nearby unicorns. So it is cheating! Twilight's ears spiked downwards in annoyance. No! Trixie would still be doing all the work. She'd just be using me as an extra supply of power, focus, and stamina. So you're saying that she'd be using your magic to cast her spell? Exactly! Spike spread his stars out in a smug, telltale presentation. Cheating! Twilight gave an exasperated groan and ran a hoof down her face. The little dragon didn't understand higher concepts that went into magical theory sometimes. Anyways, if you were to make a microgrid between the two of us that could share our magic in the same pool, there'd certainly be more than enough to allow you to cast any spell you wanted, so as long as you knew it. Trixie is setting a big butt here, the magician said with a raised eyebrow. Twilight smiled through a slight wince. Well, the strain on your magic font would be considerably less, but more complex. Explain. Well, you see, creating and maintaining the casting grid is a spell in and of itself, so in actuality, you have to be simultaneously casting at least 2 different spells in order to utilize the grid. Multitasking and chaining spells, or spell weaving as it's called, is a very advanced unicorn skill that relies almost completely on control and not power. It's difficult to acquire for most unicorns. Even I'm a little shaky with it sometimes. A dead silence followed. But of course, you're well above the average unicorn too, and transmuters and conjurers are the most intricate spell professors anyway, so you should have no problem with it. You'll have twice the spell work, but 5 times the punning power to do it. She quickly went to fisting her saddlebags for a book. Here! She flipped through the pages like a wind blowing across the cover. I'm sure this volume contains some basics on circle casting. Yes! She slid in a bookmark and levitated over to Trixie's door. That chapter should tell you all you need to know. You can come talk to me when you're ready to practice. Trixie still looked like she had some doubts about Twilight's suggestion, but she seemed to brush it off effortlessly, as usual as her mind shifted to other things. Perhaps, but then we'll have to leave until later. Tonight is, after all, her debut prime-time performance at the Latago! That's right. It's up and coming week at the Latago. That theater has been booked for solid months. You finally got a slot? Indeed. Trixie has been hoping to break out a true flare of passion with that solidified spell. She adjusted her head before continuing. But, seeing as that mastering isn't going to be an overnight thing, she might as well take the time to prepare a different act to wow and amaze. It's not as she needs wings to prove she's already as magnificent and flawless as she is already. Flawless? I would hardly think so. If anything, you were a disappointment at best, and a disgrace at worst. Trixie was taken aback at the new voice. Well, new in a sense. She couldn't help but feel like it was foully familiar. Regardless, she answered it in a way she knew towards any heckler, with indignant and haughty aplomb. Well, Trixie will have you know this is a private studio, invitation only, and if you so rudely barged in to simply try and denounce her, she can only wonder what personal shortcomings you're trying to cover up for. Beatrix Midsummer Lunaverse the Second! That is no way to introduce your elders! Trixie's hat fell right off as her pupils shrank. That name. She suddenly realized where she recognized that voice for. Turning on the spot, she got a good quick look at the newcomer standing before the open entrance. An aged, near-black, Oxford blue unicorn mare with a cutie mark on a diadem and peacock feather, and had a simmering, misty blue mane much like her own, that was exactly curled and conditioned without a single stray hair in sight. wearing an expensive spider silk dress that held many expensive gems and metals sewn in the fabric, along with a sparkling silver crescent moon locket, who looked directly into Trixie's eyes with her icy, shimmering magenta ones. The pony that Trixie knew none other as Mother! My little pony, my little pony, ah, my little pony. I used to wonder what friendship could mean. My little pony, until you all share its magic with me. Great discoveries, tricks go, all the right sides of life, and a heartfelt score. But in carrots, it's an easy feat, and magic makes it all complete. You have my little ponies. Do you know you're all of my very best friends? Manehattan verse, created by Little Jackie Papercut. It can happen only on the hub. Presented by Hasbro. Brought to you by Xploud Stereos. Read by Martial Art User. Please, Mike, do make yourself at home. Horror Serpent said as he beckoned the Major Tree to the hotel with the Tottenham dancing hoof on over. May I say, it's more of a privilege and a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Miss Moonlight, Lady Moonlight Meridian Lunaverse. They sat in the luxurious lounge lobby at the Orange Hotel. Moonlight, alone to one side with nothing but the company of the twin velvet pillows beside her chair. Across from her, the 6 elements of harmony, who was sharing a lounge sofa, minus Trixie standing to the side. Spike chose the carpeted floor. Moonlight levitated her filled teacup and took a delicate sip as Sever continued. Yes, Miss Moonlight, charmed. I'll certainly hope you find my stay of service to your liking. It is gratifying, Moonlight replied with a dull monotone. Every pony shuffled a bit in their seats. The man before them seemed to protrude an air of regal intimidation, as if he was judging to every move and word. The fact that Trixie was obviously avoiding eye contact with her seemed to make the tension heavier. So, Twilight declared to break the ice, you're Trixie's mother? Beatrix. Huh? Moonlight's head turned not to Twilight, but towards Trixie, as if he was talking to her instead. It is proper etiquette to address a noble by their correct name. Noble? You're royalty? Blossom Forfeit asked incredulously. No, Blossom. There's a difference between the two, Honey corrected. Nobles don't have a relation to the crown. They're just ponies who are entrusted with land and power directly by the princesses, or a higher-ranking noble. Moonlight took another slow sip of her tea. Oh, your statement is true in a technical sense. Honey's brow furrowed. It was the way the mare said it, and the tone and posture she carried with it, that seemed to make her feel like she was actually saying, yes, you are correct, but you're also completely and absolutely wrong. Whether this was the imposition she was going for or not, it was already clear to her Honey was not going to be on the friendliest terms with this mare. Oh! Pleasantforth's face lit up and realized Season. You must be pretty important then, and this must be a really special occasion to visit too. Being a noble sounds like a lot of responsibility, a real lot of responsibility. If I know anything from my seniors on the weather team, more responsibility equals more work. So it's probably been a long time since you've seen your daughter. The clink of Moonlight's tea plate being set on the table was no longer than the click of a tongue, yet from her, it seemed to create a dividend silence. Indeed. Far too long, it seems. I'm sorry? Twilight looked at Trixie, but saw her friend still reluctant to join in the conversation. Is there something wrong? Moonlight got up from her seat and walked over to stand directly in front of her daughter. After several moments of waiting for her to meet her eyes, she discarded her patience and spoke with authority. Beatrix, Midsummer Lunaverse the second. 15 years has been long enough for you to outgrow your senseless pursuit of tricks and tomfoolery. As you come back with me to Canterlot immediately. What? Every pony shouted, but none more louder than Trixie. Moonlight continued regardless, unperturbed. Princess Luna's return has prompted the need for a series of political reforms. to many of which the noble families are fighting for their say in the redistribution of influential sovereignty, including ours. This is perhaps the most opportune moment for the House of Lula Moon to regain all their original prestige and more. To that end, every member of the current household must be exemplified to their peers at their best, especially the household's next of kin. Therefore, it is in both our best interests that you cease your travels, return to the main household, and fulfill your duties as the heir to our name and the title under my direct tutelage. She now had her daughter's full attention as she stood before in front of her. How dare you! Our best interests? As if all these years you still don't ask me for what I want! I'm not going anywhere with you! And I'll have you know for a fact I'm already at my best. My name is famous across the lands far and wide! So I've heard. The Lunar Moon matriarch levitated and placed 2 stacks of papers before them. One was a recently dated issue of the New York Times, with a stark column of the fruit-smeared magician running away in disgrace from our unmasked ne'er-do-well friends. The other was a volume of Cloudsail Quarterly. The head flailing, falling, butterfly wingless Trixie, screaming not so gracefully as its cover picture. Trixie suddenly shrank back in the basement, while everyone else rubbed their necks in shame. This clearly is not the kind of amount of attention I expected you to corner and reflect upon the Lunar Moon name when I allowed you this freedom years ago. Had I known such derision to our heritage would come from my neglect, I would have collected you the moment that street performer keeled over. Don't you dare write him off as he's dead, or succumb in a street performer! Trixie opened straight. The entire lobby guest staff ran off, staring at the scene now, but neither Trixie nor Moonlight seemed to take heed as the magician continued her rant. Hoofdini took care of me better than you ever did! He actually supported with more than just expectations. He took the time for me, gave me hope. He was a performer, Moonlight coldly cut off, an entertainer, and above all, inconsequential. His name held no authority or responsibility over others. His abilities had no influence on any policies. His accomplishments provided no lasting impact in the mechanisms of our society. In consequence, it would not matter if he had been born or not. And yet you let me go with him! Trixie hotly argued. Precisely. Moonlight stated as he just moved a chess piece into a checkmate position. I let you go with him. You only left Canterlot because I permitted you to, and now I am here to say it back. I'm a grown man now. You can't tell me what I can and can't do. Trixie's words came out bold. For some reason, there was uncertainty in her statement. As long as I am matriarch, yes I can. Moonlight's voice continued to carry the same pitch and volume, betraying no emotion. Remember the rules of our ancestry. The decision of the head is final. What? That's ridiculous. She can't possibly mean that her word is natural law to Trixie. But Honey cut her off with a nudge and whisper. Actually, Trixie, Twilight, she might as well have been in every right to force Trixie to obey. She's invoking what I think she's invoking. Huh? Honey drew from her near limitless well of historical knowledge to explain. During the classical era, the difference in power between the nobles and commons was much more drastic. Therefore, their names carried more weight and power. To maintain order among the limited number in power and prevent radical shifts in policy-making, the stable lords made a consensus to establish a hierarchy for family members of each noble house, the eldest female on top. Twilight was flabbergasted that such rules had actually been validated back then. But that was tens of thousands of years ago! That kind of third law can't possibly exist! Technically speaking, it was never indirected. As power continues to decentralize, allowing for the rise of bureaucratic class, the nobles controlling influence towards mayors, district attorneys, and federal unions, rather than lesser members of the family, rendered the matriarchal roles virtually obsolete. So the nobles just stopped enforcing them at some point. I'm pretty sure nobody even knows whether they still exist anymore. Apparently, a Moonlight is one of them, Octavia plainly noted. She looked from Moonlight's strict and impassive face to Trixie's extremely distressed one. The implications fully sunk in then. She's not kidding. She could really force Trixie to do as she says. She could take Trixie away from Manehattan. Away from us. Wait! She suddenly blurted out. Maybe Trixie isn't a political savant or pauper noble here, but she still makes a difference. She's very important to the city. You can't take her away! Moonlight shifted her gaze at the lavender unicorn only for a moment. You are Twilight Sparkle, correct? Yes? Then Moonlight's gaze was off. Then you, as everyone here, should know the difference of upbringing. You'll have your own affairs to attend to soon regardless, and it would be wise to address them instead. Huh? Twilight was finding this be her word of the day for some reason. Miss Moonlight, if I may speak from experience, perhaps you are being a bit hasty in your judgment to believe the sun plains is the most prudent course of action. Cerberus suggested. Perhaps it would be best if you ascertain our dear companion's acumen before raising any absolute decisions? Yeah, there's gotta be something here she could do to prove she's good enough to stay in Manhattan. Was it for Christ? Like, the Latago! Spike exclaimed. Twilight's eyes lit up. That's right! The Latago! It's one of Manhattan's biggest and renowned theaters, and Trixie has a performance there tonight. If you come to the Latago tonight, you can see how much of an accomplished mayor she really is. What? Trixie nervously asked. The others eagerly clamored, and insisted alongside Twilight's declaration to Moonlight. Amongst the chatter and pleas defending their showmare friend, Moonlight raised a solitary hoof to shush them all. Very well. At your insistence, as her most current acquaintance, I will observe, first hoof, exactly what my daughter has made of herself since our last exchange. She then proceeded to canter to the exit, pausing only one last time to turn her ever-expressionless face to the group. If you will excuse me, until this evening. Everyone let out a huge collective sigh of relief the moment she was gone. Celestia's mean, that was close, Philosopher breathed. May still be, Honey warned. She's only going to let Trixie stay if she likes what she sees tonight. Come on, girls, it's in the bag, Spike reassured. You've seen all our shows. There isn't a pony in Equestria Trixie couldn't well with the magic she does. You'll sell that old mare of yours who wears the cape in the sea tonight, right? The only response was he got when he turned to Trixie for an answer was a puff of blue smoke, followed by the azure mare tripping over herself as she ran out the door. Act 2. Now you see her. Twilight approached the lone caravan wagon with a cautionary gait. She knew this would be the one place her friend would run off to. She knew Trixie was clearly feeling upset having left so abruptly, and she knew the magician would need some kindly support now more than ever, and had to approach it delicately, or she would hurt her pride again. She knew this would be one place her friend would run off to. She knew Trixie was clearly feeling upset to have left so abruptly, and she knew the magician clearly needed some friendly support more now than ever, but had to approach it delicately, or she could hurt her pride again. What she didn't know was the floor would be strewn with crumbs and lots of empty packages of peanut butter crackers. Trixie? Stepping over the discarded wrappers, Twilight made her way to the bedside, where she found the azure mare sitting backside against the mattress, munching with her seats halfway over her head. A gentle prod on her back prompted a yelp soon after. You still haven't learned to knock, Trixie grumpily greeted. You left the door open. Rebecca's friend dryly countered. Trixie, what is this all about? What? Trixie asked innocently. I like peanut butter crackers. They're my comfort food. I mean, why did you suddenly run off and start binging on processed legumes and baked wafers? Trixie stared, half lit into Twilight's eyes, and stuffed the normal morsel into her frown. Did you really have to invite her, of all ponies, to attend my big night? Trixie, she was going to force you to leave Manehattan. We had to have done something to try and convince her to give you a chance. But it didn't have to be that. Now I'm going to have to go out on that stage knowing she's watching me. Trixie slumped down to her side, rolling the sheets over her. And Twilight gently pulled them back until Trixie's head could turn back to face her. Trixie, what exactly is the issue between you and Moonlight? It's not such a big deal. Really? Oh, I seriously doubt that. It just what makes you so sure? Well, for starters, you've been using I, my, and me instead of Trixie ever since she's arrived. Trixie started. It did give Twilight less than menacing growl. When Twilight couldn't flinch, she gave her a relenting sigh and her eyes took a somber slant. I never could please Mother. No matter what I did, what I accomplished, it was just never good enough for her. Not once did she ever praise me with a smile. A well done, or even a you did your best and I'm proud of you. Nothing I did was a little moon worthy. I was a great failure to my great-great-grandmother's name in her eyes. I know this much. That's why you tried to run away. But Trixie shook her head, Twilight. No, Twilight Sparkle. Me running away was just the last straw I took. My mother's disappointment goes much further back than that. Ever since I collected my horn, she thrilled me with expectation. A little moon never falters. Those in the right present themselves with the utmost confidence. Yet, no matter how high I held my head, no matter how assured I came on, I was met with the same look of disapproval by her. I had mastered the spell by your age. You should be able to do at least this much. Practice this, not that. Don't waste my time. She was always comparing me to herself, and whenever I tried to do any of her spells, they were never as good. I wanted nothing more than to impress her, and if I couldn't do it with her magic, then maybe I could with some other kind. I started experimenting with other types. I actually found that a lot of things Mother wasn't teaching me to be quite fun. When she found out I was playing with illusions and transformations, she admonished me, saying they were pointless and had no use for unicorns of our stature. Still, I had never been so skilled at anything else before. Maybe they weren't as standard as the spells used by archmages, but I just knew these tricks and tinkerings could be made into something grand, something that would live up to our family name. So, against her wishes, I continued to play with my stage magic. I was sure she could change her mind once she saw how good I was with it. Then, one day, after months into my practice, I was able to transmute my first firework. I went to show Mother and nearly burned down her bedroom after that. And then, that's when she just gave up. She didn't yell at me. She didn't send me to my room. She just walked without a word and left me alone with the absent remains of my work. The lesson stopped completely. Her office was always locked all of a sudden. She wouldn't even look at my way at the dinner table. At first, I didn't know what was going on. But as the days progressed, I slowly began to realize my mother had dumped me. Me and my magical talents. I could live in her house, I could eat her meals, but I could never be the bear she wanted. Trixie struck the edge of her horn as she took a breath to continue. Do you know why I tried to run away after failing the entrance exam? It wasn't ambition or defiance. It was denial. My mother graduated from Celestia School for Gifted Unicorns, valedictorian to boot. It was the most prestigious and difficult of magic schools to get into. Every unicorn who was some point in Canterlot had come from there. If I could have been approved, if I could get in with my talents, it would have no doubt proved to everyone in Canterlot that my magic was not a waste of time, and I would finally be worthy to Mother. But I didn't. All I proved that day was that my mother was right. Her mind and skill got her in. Well, mine didn't. My talent didn't belong in her world. I didn't belong. That's why I wanted to leave. I wanted to forget it all. The stables, the mazes who were deed better than me. Her tone soured as the next part. Trying to make my mom happy. She then sat upright, pounding her mattress occasionally as she started to vent. And it worked! By Faust, it worked! Out here, I became the mayor that pleased all of my skills. I became the great and powerful Trixie! I was finally happy to be myself. So why? Why does she have to come and ruin things now? It took me years to put all those unpleasant memories behind me. And never once did she give a chance hoof to what I did from then on. She wanted me out of her life as much as I wanted to be out of hers. So why drag me back into it now? Why? Because you're an element of harmony now. Twilight and Trixie turned their heads to see the rest of their friends gathered at the entrance. As made Trixie's wagon seem a bit crowded, and a small one dismaying inside. Honey, the pony in front stepped forward. You're a pony that saved the world, and can slowly wield one of the most powerful artifacts in all of Equestria. Moonlight can't afford not to pay attention to you anymore. In the eyes of many ponies higher up, any of us being on their side would be a huge boon to them. It is ironic in a cosmic sense, Octavia mused. Power attracts power. Quite, Sever agreed. It's affected all of us to some degree. Did you know my company's value has tripled ever since the Summer Sin celebration? Mosley and I have 10 times as many clients and investors than before. It's why he's taking trips every other week overseas. Everyone wants to do business with the element of generosity. Haidu gave the pretend wipe of her brow. Believe me, I am so lucky the world saw Daring Do become the element of honesty instead of Honeydew, or my museum would be mobbed day in and day out. I've heard the whispers of almost at least once every day in my halls. Daring Do, where is he now? And what world-saving discovery is he going to find next? Not to mention, all the riches wanting to buy any of my exhibits have been leveled discovered by Daring Do. Lowest offer I've heard went for 10 million bits alone. And I'm doubly lucky Sandy is the type of mayor who would never sell the rights to my character to any writer. Along with her and A.K. Rowling. Joke. So, worth it. I've had constant listings backlogged to as far as 5 years ahead, Octavia added. Of course, I do recommend others to those that I don't choose. Are you sure this is just a series of coincidences? I mean, growing up in the palace, I've seen my share of adulations in Kajori, but I think this whole pony kind better to treat us like a chess pieces against of power, wealth, and fame. After all, no one's tried to curry favor with me, a simple librarian. Her friends stared incredulously at her. Always wells given to you by Princess Celestia, as per her royal decree to a personal student. With lovely stipend and everything. So I'm pretty sure every pony knows. Princess Celestia's already called deeds on you, Spike finished. Twilight's face scrunched in a scowl of indignant annoyance as the rib ganged up on her. Hey, what about me? Fossiforth said all of a sudden. I don't think I got any special treatment since I became an element. Are you sure about that? Spike asked, knowing all too well Blossomforth's track record. We need some montage music. Somebody grab some instrumental montage music. I'll be right back. Thanks for the sunflower seeds, Mr. Sprout. Oh, no problem at all. For my most loyal customers. On the house, of course. Really? Nice. I'll be sure to tell everyone what great service your seed shop has. Oh, yes. That would be lovely. And do mention my hours are 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Hey, it's an awesome dwarf. Oh, hey, Starwater. What's up? Well, I thought you might like these.
Oh, wow. Chrysanthemums. Thank you. I love these.
Oh, well, yeah. I got them from the shop in Huffington Gardens. They're opening a new cherry blossom edition this Saturday. I'm thinking of checking it out. You want to come?
No, you're the 10th stallion today that's asked me about going to the exhibit. I had no idea there were so many guys on this campus that are as interested in botany as I am.
Yeah, botany. Right.
Wow. Free tickets to the upcoming premiere of Dying to See and complimentary popcorn?
Indeed. Congratulations on being our 1 millionth movie patron. Master, sir? Our theater doesn't have a millionth customer give up. Ow! My neck! Oh, and would you like to sign up for our lifetime slutty sweepstakes? Let's fill out the seat. Rating what you liked about today's movie experience, and we will let you know in 6 weeks if you won.
Cool. I'm definitely going to give you 5 stars at this rate.
Sir, that form there is for reputable movie critics only, and we also don't have a sleep. Ow! My jaw and neck!
Nope. Mine's drawing a blank.
The flower-loving Pegasus shrugged. Now, you see, this is why Celestia Royal Decree 502 exists. The one that states, and I quote, and this is from the Equestrian Law Book, the element bearers are not to be treated any differently than any normal ponies. While it is great that they did save us, we must always remember that these are just heroes doing what they could have done, doing what they did best. They are not to receive any differential treatment, i.e., no instant Wonderbolts rewards, and definitely no preferential treatment. They all want to live their normal lives, so please do not do so. Defiance of said order will result in the following punishments. Number 1. Listening to Miken's Starfleet stories for 24 hours. 2. Listening to a reviewer talk for hours on end on how his favorite show went downhill. And finally, number 3, listening to a really bad lemon done by Deathstalker. Ugh. Oh, and no chocolate for a week. Trixie, we really gotta fix that window. Hey, who cares? We're moving soon. True. Apparently, Trixie, Honey reiterated, your name now carries a lot of weight and attention as an element bearer. Even more so those who have authority in Equestria. Anything you do is going to inadvertently affect those related to you. It's been long enough for news to spread worldwide by now. And our names are being whispered in every place, especially Canterlot, I bet. That's probably why your mother wants you back home. Many of her peers are most likely expecting her to come back with you. Trixie sulked badly. So, that's it. The only reason she wants me back is because every pony she knows sees me as an asset to her. I don't want this kind of attention. I don't want to go back to Canterlot. I don't want to be a noble, and I certainly don't want to be under my mother's hoof again. She doesn't want Trixie. She wants the element of laughter. All the more reason I don't want to go back. Then don't go back. Is this ancient family rule really so absolute that you have to follow your mother's every word? Twilight waved her hope in conjecture. I mean, what's the worst that could happen if you say no? She can't really make the police or royal guards come here and force you to do as she says, can she? It's not so much as making the authorities enforce that law, but rather what's the law's existence makes them can't enforce, Honey stated. What's the law, what now? Spike scratched his noggin, not even sure the archaeologist said was a coherent sentence. It's true, Twilight. Most of the guards and cops won't go so much as a little hoof to help Moonlight her as Trixie, but the old matriarchy rules also stop them preventing Moonlight to enforce them on her own. She can tie Trixie in shackles, inflict corporal punishment, even place her under house arrest, and she'd still be in legal rights because 1, she's a noble, and 2, she's her mother. Twilight felt sick to her stomach. That's despicable! How could any pony allow a law like that to even exist? Like I said, every pony pretty much forgot about it. Honey hastily tried to calm the upset scholar. Times were different back then. Order was more difficult to keep. I'm not saying that every noble had to go far as to beat their children with an inch of life. No pony ever did anything extreme like that in the entire history of Equestria. I doubt Moonlight would try anything like that, but that's the kind of authority matriarchy rule applies. Yes, it's flawed, and it's way too empty yet open-ended. But that's how isolated and disorganized governing systems were back then. Police didn't know enough about lawmaking to realize the full potential of each rule. And today, too few know about what lawmaking did go down to do something about it. Blossom flicked her wings in confusion.
This is getting complicated.
That's politics for you, Octavia said. 'Tis the art of doing nothing to do everything, and doing everything to do nothing. It's more than just some silly family law, Trixie said at last, lying flat against her seats. The traditions are actually only a pretense she's using as a front. I know the real message she's trying to portray from me. And what message would that be? Twilight asked. That she's right again and knows what's best for me. She knew it was best for me to practice her magic her way in order to fit in at Canterlot. She knew I wouldn't be accepted at her school with my razzle-dazzle routine. And now she thinks going back to Canterlot is the right thing for me to do. Then prove her wrong! Trixie's head turned with mild surprise to the little dragon, with a claw on his hip and a finger pointing straight at her muzzle. That's all you have to do. Prove for your first time in life that she is wrong and you are right. At first, the showman was at loss for words. Trixie, are you feeling okay? Do you even know what you are saying right now? Do you know how strange you sound right now? Spike pulled Trixie down by the cheeks to meet him at eye level. Tell me, who are you? I'm Trixie. You are the great and powerful Trixie! You're proud, you're fantastic, and you're not that same filly from 15 years ago she could boss around.
Spike,
Twilight whispered under her breath. What are you doing? Back me up, Twilight, her number one assistant whispered back. I'm on a roll here. Climbing on her back and leapt onto the drawer chest. You've battled flying foxes, conquered ancient traps and so many ruins, stepped in a harsh astral feast warpath with nothing but some warm milk and a mobile. You think of a new spell variations every other week, leaving not a single face you meet without a smile at the end of every day. You even got your own fan club that's comprised of almost every foal in the city. And one Pegasus over here. Go Trixie! Woo! And all this happened because you came to Manehattan! I know it may seem like I skipped a few episodes, but I got some reasons for this. One, this is my favorite episode of the whole Manehattan verse. Two, Trixie's my favorite character on this show. On the flick of his wrist, he reached out and donned a top hat, cape, and handlebar mustache, pointing a white star wand at her. He raised his other claw high of heavy hand for proclamation. You are the greatest magician on the face of Equestria, and you became that all on your own. Your mother says you're better off in Canterlot. We say you're better off here. We don't need Beatrix Lunamoon. We need the great and powerful Trixie. Manehattan needs the great and powerful Trixie. The world needs the great and powerful Trixie. And tonight, you are going to prove to your mother that she needs the great and powerful Trixie. Because there isn't a pony in the universe that can't be awestruck by the magical, stupendous feats of wonder by the great and powerful Trixie! Taking a wave of Spike's claw as a cue, the magician's friends began to stop with applause. Above the small din, the baby dragon's voice called out, So let me ask you again, who are you? I am the great and powerful Trixie. Who are you? She sounded on the covers of her head. The great and powerful Trixie! Who are you? With a whip of her cape and tip of her hat, the showman reared up and proclaimed with a grin, The great and powerful Trixie! The room exploded in a multi-flash of neon colors as she leapt from her bed. And tonight, she will show Moonlight Luna Moon. She is a unicorn of the highest caliber, and her most stunning and magnificent performance yet! She will dazzle and amaze with so many magics unheard of, and make her admit how wrong she was to underestimate her daughter's spellcraft. And above all, she will stay in Manehattan! With that, she paraded out, her cheering squad right behind, minus Twilight, who lingered to wait to take strike off his inspirational get-up. You certainly know how to ham a girl up, Twilight thanked with a smirk as he hopped on her back. Did you practice that all night, or what? Just took it from most of your annual final exams panic attacks back at the palace. At that, her smirk was gone. Gee, nice to know I played such a pivotal role in your skill as a motivational speaker.
And I say, that's no pipple, that's my wife!
The theater seats of the Latigo burst with laughter at the everypony stallion, with a comic hat and polka dot bow tie. Among those in the front row were the 5 most renowned mares in the city, plus their dragon. Wasselforth laughed the loudest, then turned to Sever.
I don't get it.
The personality is he's applying that the spell sparks a lot, her older friend explained.
Oh, I see.
Wasselforth rubbed her chin a moment.
She probably should check herself into the hospital then. Ponies normally are supposed to bark.
Yora's matron stifled a titter with her hoof as the comedian took a brow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Comedy Gold.
The voice over the MC speakers bellowed. The ponies took a moment to clap as their entertainer exited stage right. Really? Did you just pull off an Ed Sullivan voice? Yep. In 2016? Yep. No pony's going to get that reference! I don't know. Maybe there might be some fans out there on this show who really enjoyed 1960s entertainment. Twilight looked up from the program for the evening's lineup. It looks like Trixie's on next, she observed. Honey took a moment to scan the seat behind her. Funny, I don't see that Moonlight moon anywhere in the audience.
Maybe she gave up.
Wasselforth suggested hopefully. Shucks, Spice said. If he did, then I'm really bummed out. This was one Trixie act I was actually looking forward to being cocky and conceited. Won't be the same if it was not to see that stick in the mud dropped on the floor. I'm pretty sure she's somewhere, Twilight reasoned. Either way, we've got to do our best to cheer on Trixie tonight. Fillies and gentlecoats, honeys of all ages, prepare to be dazzled by the most spectacular feats of magic ever witnessed by pony eyes! The backstage curtain drew back, letting the echoing voice resonate even louder as the azure magician appeared out of the blue mist and enveloped the stage. For you are about to be privy by the prowess of the greatest magician in Equestria, the Great and Powerful Trixie! She raised her hooves to spell her name in a burst of fireworks. The audience clapped and oohed at their performance. Trixie gave an over-the-top bow and furled her cape as she growled at her spectators. Now, for my first act, can I get a volunteer for the crowd? Ah. So blase request. The audience fell silent, with the exception of the 5 mares and dragon gasping. Trixie's jaw went slack as a deep, dark Oxford blue unicorn shimmered into visible appearance at the base of the stage. She was right in front of us the whole time! Twilight exclaimed. But I couldn't even sense an invisibility spell. Ignoring her, Moonlight's horn blinked to warp the stage's edge into a ramp for her to walk up and meet Trixie eye to eye. Well, Great and Powerful Trixie, you have your volunteer. Shall we begin already? Trixie stammered, but only for a second. Of course, yes. The Great and Powerful Trixie, and thanks you for your assistance. Wiping all dumbfounded from her face, she turned to her audience and waved a demonstrating hoof over to her stage guests. Watch closely, everypony, for this mare will soon be completely disassembled and rearranged! With a glow of her horn, magic fell to Moonlight. The crowd gasped in amazement as they saw the volunteer's limbs split off as they were parts of a doll, leaving her body hanging in midair. The tail, horn, and head also came off, and all of them started to loop around Trixie as she was juggling them. With a few waggles of her hooves, the unicorn was stacked like a lower tower of building blocks. "La la!" she proclaimed. The audience started to applaud, but then Moonlight gave a condescending sigh. "Albeit small." With every flash, she was suddenly back to normal. The ponies were watching her befuddled. Apparently, so was the great and powerful Trixie.
What? How?
Our name is distortion field with added sensory deprivation for the target's perspective. You never pulled me to pieces. You only made it seem that way. A simple interjection how spatial rendering could easily dispel it. Moonlight's horn glowed at the counter Trixie's. If you really wanted to physically detach my leg, you would spend the space around it, not the light. Alas, so. Trixie's front legs began to quiver as the joints around her disappeared. Unbalanced, he fell to the ground, her legs circled around Moonlight in orbit. As you can see, the air around your limb has been folded to create a pocket dimension for it, isolating it from your body. Once the magically the field closed ends, of course, the affected airspace will return to normal. But for now, your legs are, in all aspects, apart from the rest of you. Trixie's two back legs then came off now and floated over. In addition, Moonlight continued, the other space also gives me the ability to reshape the objects as well as reposition. To demonstrate, the legs before her began to twist and loop like they were being made into balloon animals. With a flash of the horn, Trixie found herself with all four legs again, but they were knotted together like a pretzel, making her look like she was in some funny yogging pose. A few fits of giggles could not be held back as the soul mare painfully untangled herself. Moonlight's face, however, remained impassive. A parlor trick is best. Now why don't you show us something real? Trixie collected herself up and shook her head. Come on, Trixie, you can do this! Come on!
Alright, Sayer. You dare challenge the magical ability of the great and powerful Trixie! You want something real?
She reared up her legs before bringing them down on the hardwood floor.
Here's real!
With a grunt of wood, a surge of magic, a huge wooden statue of Trixie rose over the ground, towering well over the 5 pony heights, a dramatic pose and fussy smile. The ponies oohed and awed as Trixie knocked in the base of the imposing figure.
How's that? No slight hoof here. Solid enough proof of the great and powerful Trixie's abilities.
See my nose.
What?
Trixie took a step back as her mother circled around the wooden model, eyeing every detail. A class epsilon metaphor spell used on the wood of the stage for a base, designed for similar homogeneous substances primarily. It reshapes the material, but provides no enhancement or change to the material. It's the third lowest transformation spell by standards. I mastered this level of spell by age 8. An even larger wooden statue of Moonlight rose up against Trixie's, but the older mare didn't stop there. By age 9, I was able to alter the elemental property of the regions. Light brown wood of the property suddenly changed sleek gray as sheen of iron. By my 10th birthday, I could inspire dynamic movement by imbuing ambient energy into the product. Creaking a groin, the iron figure shifted its legs as if it were alive. Dismounted its pedestal and raised a solitary hoof, and smashed the weaker wooden mare. Trixie ducked to avoid getting her hat covered in splinters.
Oh yeah? Well, here's something the great and powerful Trixie invented when she reached 11!
Her horn glowed brightly, and the entire pine wall flourished in green. In a matter of seconds, the entire stage had turned into a field of grass and flowers. Revitalization spell. You've tapped the latent life forces of the organic matter to galvanize a temporary growth. However, the size and quantity of life shown here tells me the spell strength only reaches the 2nd tier level. Her horn counterglowed again. Mine can go up to 5. The floor beneath Trixie shook. Without any warning, a trio of small trying trees sprouted out from underneath her. Before she realized it, the show mare was suddenly clinging for life, 30 hooves high from the top of a full-grown coniferous. Ponies watched and clamored in awe, glad at the sight.
You're cheering for Moonlight?
Twilight out under disbelief. They think it's policy act, Octavia realized. Well, at least it beats the alternative, Honey surmised, though I can't say this is doing much for Trixie's confidence. Falling against the many branches, Trixie landed at the base of the trunk with a thud. Getting up, she spat out the pine cone in her mouth, her aggressive face holding a twinge of nervousness in the back of her eyes. Well, how about this then? A rainbow fire 3 serpentine dragon erupted from her horn. Impressive. It shrank back into a tiny impulsive dot, and with a bang decorated the air as a larger golden hydra breathed a silver flame. Ooh, shocking. A thundercloud condensed and shot out with wand-shaped lightning bolts.
Mediocre!
The cloud darkened, tripled in size, and sent an entire halo of snow on top of Trixie. Oh, what's this? Trixie stuck an egg onto her hat, and out came a flock of doves. Chuddles. The doves morphed into a quartet of majestic eagles. Behold and be amazed! A pair of trumpets, an accordion, bass drum, and a trombone appeared and began to play a jovial tune all on their own. Feeble. An entire autonomous symphony string orchestra drowned them out. The entire Latega was delighted in the uproar of the spectacle. But the 5 mares and baby dragon in the front seats could only grimace as they watched their friend's desperation grow with each passing magical salvo. She's throwing everything she's got at her, but she keeps dissing it back even harder! Twilight panicked. For several more rounds, Moonlight stomped a racing hoof. I've shown a better spell for each one of your tricks thus far. This time, let's see you best do one of mine. Hey! Whoa! Trixie's white and tan Pegasi friends were hoisted from their seats, levitating in front of them both. With a beam from Lunaverse matriarch horn, a wizened, elderly archaeologist and balding white foal sat where they were once before. Twilight stared at mouth agape. An 8 spell? But how could you do an 8 spell? That's only for the highest level of unicorns! A level I achieved, Moonlight declared, through 30 long years of discipline, exercise, and dedication to the teachings and methods of the Lunar stable that have been passed down by generations since it first stood. She then stared deep into Trixie's soul, or at least it felt like that on the receiving end. And what of you? Can the great and powerful Trixie say the same? Visible beads of sweat could barely be seen trickling down her cheeks and muzzle. Come on, Trixie, Spike breathed as he shook his fist in a chanting motion. Come on! Trixie gulped, gritted her teeth, and blasted her horn at the chains duo. Aurora felt him brightly, but it wasn't long before her magic began to sputter. With a final grump, she collapsed on all fours, spell fading, leaving a couple on chains. Phew! Moonlight pointed her horn again. Within moments, Honeydew was unhunting her no longer gray-haired back. Blossom Forth was wiping away the spittle from the hoofs he had been suckling on. The eyes all stood up and gave a wallowing round of applause as the curtain closed on the stage and MC's voice rang out. Ladies and gentlemen, the great and powerful Trixie. Trixie! Twilight had been the first to leave her seat and galloped backstage as soon as the curtains dropped, but the others had soon followed. They all found the unicorn in question, sitting near a corner among some unused backdrops, laying against the side of a sandbag in sudden silence. Trixie, are you okay? Twilight gently asked. I couldn't beat her. Again, Trixie mentally muttered. And even at my own specialty. Friends looked at each other for a moment. Then Honey rubbed a consoling hoof on her back. Well, we think this was one of your most spectacular performances yet. You did everything right by our book. Yes, Twilight affirmed. What Moonlight did wasn't even fair. Turning your ad into some kind of magic duel, and then even going so far to use something as powerful as an 8 spell. I can't even do an 8 spell yet. You shouldn't have had to be ashamed of anything that's stacked against you. Octavia nodded. Satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the attainment. Full effort is in the full victory. I'll try you. Sever agreed. Don't fret, dear. We'll work out together. It's all right. It is most certainly not all right. Everybody turned to witness the approach of the Dark Moon leader, making a beeline for her daughter. Instinctively, the elves scampered in front, forming a wall between the two. But a simple glow of her horn parted the sea of mares and held them back as he continued to walk closer. There is no word or action that can fully express how disappointed I am to see that you have not progressed in your abilities, even the slightest, since you are a fairy. If you had stayed in my house, under my guidelines, even with your ineptitude, you would have been able to do at least half of what I demonstrated by now. No! Twilight frantically protested. Just because your way works for you doesn't mean it'll work for Trixie. Every unicorn has their own way of acquiring magic. It's what makes their spells unique. Moonlight's icy glare was all it took to stop Twilight dead cold. You know, I'm a huge fan of Twixie answers. As a matter of fact, Induo, Trixie's father, is who I keep using as Trixie's father in my own headcanon. On there, Trixie's mother almost killed Trixie's unborn child. I actually hate Moonlight more than that! Yeah, that's right. I hate Moonlight more than I hate Hazel. Why? Because at least Hazel redeemed herself later on. Moonlight's icy glare was all it took to stop Twilight dead cold. I have already taken more than enough recommendation from your circle. Your opinion, well noted, is no longer deterministic valuable in my judgment as of right now. Spike pointed and accused her and clawed at her. Now you see here, Gloomlight! His lips were instantaneously and literally zipped shut with a blink of a magic. I have seen all that I needed to see, the elder unicorn mare proclaimed as he loomed over her daughter, looking down upon her shadowed face. Beatrix and Midsummer Luna Moon II, gather your belongings. You are leaving Manehattan immediately. And you are not